SAT 22 for week 27. Let's take a look at our question. The equation x squared plus y minus 1 quantity squared equals 49 represents circle A. Circle B is obtained by shifting circle A down 2 units in the xy plane. Which of the following equations represents circle B? So what do you think it is? Well, according to you, most of you thought that it was green, 64.1%, which is answer choice D, and that is in fact the correct answer. And you can see that there is about a quarter, 24.8% chose B, and we'll talk about why B is the most logical distractor, as in that is the most commonly chosen incorrect answer, as a college board would expect you to pick. Anyway, how did we think that this rated? We said that it was rather on the easy side, but it is easy medium because you can see there are some spikes on 1, 2, and 3. Here, let's take a look at our solution. So first of all, I'm going to recap what the equation of a circle is supposed to look like. And it is based on the Pythagorean theorem, and it sort of looks like the distance formula because they are both based on the Pythagorean theorem. And it looks like this: x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. Again, this looks like a squared plus b squared equals c squared because it comes from the Pythagorean theorem. So the h and the k that are in here, this is our center point. So our center is at the coordinates h comma k. And our r over there is our radius. So r is equal to the radius. Now, notice in the equation, in the form of the equation, you already have these minuses right beside the x and or the h and the k. Super common for general forms of an equation. As a matter of fact, you've seen this kind of thing before in point slope form. Point slope form being one of, if not the best form of the equation of a line, which is y minus y1 is equal to the slope times x minus x1, where you have this point x1, y1 that it goes through, right? x1, comma, y1. Now, for example, let's build off of our kind of algebra 1 kind of knowledge. If I have the equation y minus 2 is equal to 1/5 times x plus 1, what point does this equation go with? So I'm looking at the 1 there and the negative 2 there, but look at the original form of this equation. Original form already has these negative signs in here. So when I look at the 1 that's over here with the x, the only way that you can get the positive 1 here is if it was really x minus a negative 1, like so, implying that your x1 is actually equal to negative 1. So this goes to the point negative 1, and then you can see in the form 2 matches up with the y2, or the y1 I should say. Okay, so it goes to that point, negative 1, 2. All right, so now let's get back to our equation of a circle, which is x squared plus y minus 1 squared is equal to 49. So just based on our equation of our circle here, our h value, notice that there's nothing here with the x, which means it must be going through 0. It's equivalent to having x minus 0 squared. Silly, but that's what's going on here. So our center point is at 0, comma, and then this negative 1. So just like the point slope form, when we have this negative in front of this, I have this negative in front of this, that doesn't mean that my actual y coordinate is negative. It's just the opposite of that. It is positive 1. Now, if you don't pick up on that, of course, your graphing calculator, Desmos, will show you pretty clearly whenever you go to graph that thing, which we're going to do here in just a second. And then in case you're wondering, this 49 here is r squared, implying that your radius should be the square root of that, which is 7. Okay. Now, going back to our question, we're supposed to take this circle and go down 2 units in the coordinate plane. We're only moving downward, which means that the x should not be affected because x goes left-right. So looking at our answer choices, we can immediately eliminate A because we're shifting left, right 2 spaces, and then the same thing with answer choice C. So that just leaves us B and D. And remember, what I said is B is the one that they expect that you're going to pick. It's actually the wrong one. So we'll see why that is the case in just a second. So here's a little graph grid for you. And my radius is supposed to be 0, 1, and I'm supposed to shift this thing down 2 units. So if I'm down 2 units, that means that my new center of my circle is 0, -1. So that means inside of the little equation here, I should have a -1. But look at answer choice B. It has a -3. Why would somebody pick that? The reason why somebody would pick that is because we would think that moving down 2, I'm going to subtract 2 from this guy to get this -3. It makes sense. However, when we're talking about the equations in a coordinate plane, the movement is actually in the inverse direction of what you expect it to be. So let's see that on Desmos, shall we? So pulling up Desmos and type in the equation that they gave us, x squared plus parentheses y, wasn't it -1? Yes, -1, yeah. And then close parentheses and then square it, and then equals to 49. Okay, and just for clarity here, I'll actually plot the center point, which was 0, 1. Here, let's even label that guy, right? And then you can easily visualize that that's the center of the circle, and the center of the circle is not, if I put this in here, 0, -1. You can see that that's definitely not the center of the circle, right? Okay, so now if you had no idea about any of this as far as like the equation of the circle, what the shifts were supposed to do, all you'd have to do, of course, is just put in each one of these equations into Desmos until you found the correct one that shifts your whole entire circle down 2 units. So not only is that going to shift the center of the circle down 2 units, but everything's going to get shifted down 2 units. So here, I'm going to put in answer choice B, which is the one that came in second place. About a quarter of us thought it was x squared, and then plus parentheses y minus 3 parentheses squared is equal to 49. Now you're going to see that this actually shifts it up 2 units. And you can see that pretty clearly by looking at the fact that the circle goes through 8, the red one does, and the purple one goes up to 10, indicating that it just shifted up 2 units. Okay, so let's put in the other answer choice, D, the most frequently chosen one, which was x squared, and then plus parentheses y, plus 1, right? Plus 1, and then squared is equal to 49. And again, we see that plus 1, and we think, oh, it's going up 1, right? It is not 49. Boom. And now, after I hide this purple one, you can see from the red to the black one, going from 8 to 6 there, obviously it has just shifted down 2 spaces. Now, not only that, I could plot the ordered pair that represents the center after it shifts down 2 units, which is 0, -1. Label that guy, and then you can see that that is in fact the center of the black circle that we just shifted down. Okay, so let's take an extension here for just a moment and see what happens when we change specifically the H and the K dynamically with some sliders on Desmos. So I will hide each and every one of these guys. We'll keep this guy up, the original circle, but we're going to hide that one too. Okay, go away. I'm going to put some sliders in here. I don't know why that label's still on. Put some sliders and actually change the radius so we can see it fitting on the screen really nicely. So x minus h, and close it and square it. It'll ask me a slider. I'll put those in a second. Plus parentheses y minus and then the k. Okay. And close it and square it, is equal to, I'm going to shrink down the radius here. Let's make our radius something like, well, radius squared, 4, so the radius actually 2. We'll add sliders there. Okay. And then let me change it so that the h is actually 0. Boop. So that we can just focus on the k value. So we can see that if I move my k value, it's moving this thing both up and down, as we would expect. H would move this thing left and right. H is with the x, so it pairs up with a horizontal movement. K is with the y, it pairs up with a vertical movement. And so what I want you to notice here, that in the form, you have x minus h. So whenever I make no, let's focus on the k, yes. We have y minus k. If I make my k 2.5, you can see that it's shifted upwards 2.5. If I make it something like 5.7, it's shifted up by 5.7, right? So here's what we tend to think. If I switch these negatives to positives, so I hit a little plus sign in here, and I hit a little plus sign in here, right? And now you're going to see that it works the inverse of what we expect. We're going to add our k value. So when I add this k value, right now it's at 1.1. I add something to it like 3.8. Notice that it just shifted down. It just shifted down. And the reason why is because in the equation, we actually have, of course, this minus this k value. So if we had in the parentheses here, y, what did I have? What number was it? Right now it's at 6.1. Okay. Y plus 6.1 being squared, this is technically y minus a negative 6.1 quantity squared. And I can see here in this instance that we've shifted down 6.1. And that's exactly what happened in ours. And let me go ahead and formally circle answer choice D. That should do it.